10 years ago, I remember what that August day was like. I remember it was unseasonably warm. You could hear kids screaming and shouting and running around the garden. All you could hear was French conversation and people catching back up. We were there to celebrate my daughter's third birthday. I remember just drinking too much and upsetting some people who were there. This had just been a pattern over years and years and years of just addiction. Because when I was in that mood and in that state, I was like the man. It got me past the language barrier, it got me past the cultural barrier. It was something that made me feel me. And that's when the darkness came. That darkness that always comes with it. It's fun to a certain extent, and then it starts to consume you. And I remember we were driving through the countryside and I was kind of sitting hunched in the corner. And I remember thinking, you could actually find a solution. I mean, what if you killed yourself? When we got back to our apartment, I got changed into my running gear and told my family that I was going for a run. And I said goodbye to my wife. I embraced my son. I just put my arms around him. And in that embrace, I knew that this was the last time I was ever going to see him. And it just broke my heart. And this prayer or wish just came out of me that I hoped that in my absence, he would find a father who could raise him. I just remember his small, body in my arms, and I was just choking back the tears because I just loved him so much. Because of all the people in my life, he was the one who maybe I felt didn't judge me as much as other people. I pondered my life, what it was, what it could have been. I wondered what could I have achieved or have accomplished living in freedom from alcoholism. But that was never a thing on the horizon. I felt completely serene. I didn't know where I was going, I didn't know what was coming. This was the only escape route, and it came at the ultimate price. I was just about to jump when I heard this voice. It was like a velvet whisper. And it just said, no, this is not the path for you. And I remember just crying and wailing and sobbing with this deep grief, sadness, shock. Every emotion went through me. And so I picked up my rope, put it back into the back of my running shorts, and just walked home. I think the one thing that was sadder was the fact that it still wasn't enough for me to make changes in my life. I would then take Pearl in her stroller and go to the park across the street. While other parents took their kids there and let them play on the slide, I just sat there on the bench opening can after can after can, unable to stop myself. And the shame of that was, I can't tell you. I couldn't pull myself through the hold that this had on me. And just months after that, my wife and I decided to get a divorce. Those rooms held good memories, but they also held some really dark memories. At about 2 a.m., the darkness just descended on me and everything went dark. The bedroom smelled putrid. The first thing I thought about was the kids, and I shouted Dylan, but the shout came out as a feeble croak. My throat was just so damaged. I looked at the clock and it was noon. They hadn't been fed. They were still in their pajamas. And slowly the door creaked open and he looked right at me with just sadness and bewilderment and concern. And he said to me, "Papa, please stop drinking. I don't want you to die." I can't describe it, but I just knew that that was the last time I would ever drink. That today was the day that I was going to march out of this prison, out of this addiction, out of the shackles that had bound me for 10 years of my life, and I was not going back. After about 2 or 3 weeks of sobriety, I realized how unbelievably lonely my life had been. I turned away from people to save them. When you're an addict, you sit in the corner with your drug and you push everybody away. The opposite of addiction is actually connection. It's away from loneliness and it's away from darkness and it's towards people and it's towards the light. And that voice that was telling me to get social, I just listened and I went for it. I was part of an online running group. I met this guy. We were like long lost brothers. I hung out with his family and their love for me, it transformed my life. It opened it up to this world of expats that I never even knew existed. I was at a Thanksgiving dinner and I met my future and now wife, Val. This blooming of friendships and relationships just continued to put wind in my sails. I started to become the dad that I had hoped and prayed my son would have. "10 years on, I never, ever in my wildest dreams would have imagined that was possible. I'm so grateful for the people who came around me and loved me, basically lived the life that I always dreamed of.